Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to another in our agent solution series. I'm very excited about today because Saurabh has some incredible stuff he's going to be showing us, all about people who are getting onboarded for EMR, EHR, and all that goes around that, all the training, information they need. And he has a solution for us that folks are going to be able to take a look at how they can implement in their org. So with that, Saurabh, you want to take over and take it away?
All right. Thanks, Michael. Hey, everyone. So today we're going to talk about how we can use agents and use those agents and extract information from onboarding documents for our EHR or EMR applications, and how it can be focused in that area and give us a lot more insights, save time for our clinicians, so that they can focus their ability more on patients rather than going through all those documents. So let's go ahead and begin. All right. So what we are trying to do here is essentially expand Copilot's ability from being grounded to our corporate data, which is individual data that users have, and expand it to a specific area of focus. The way I try to explain this is, let's say, think of agents like a real estate agents, right? Where real estate agents are very focused on housing. We all know a little bit of housing, but if you want to have some focus information, then we kind of hire a real estate agent. So that's what essentially agents are in a very crude way. So what we are trying to do here is expand Copilot's knowledge, so it's very focused to a specific set of area that we want to get information out of. So yeah, it's a very tailored experience as to what it looks at in terms of grounding of its data. So a real estate is one example. There could be other examples like finance agent, legal agents, or whatever agents that you want to build. So it's equipped with very specific set of skills, meaning it's very focused on that specific data set where it can extract information and can be a very tailored experience to user or users. So how many types of agents do we have? So there are essentially 3 types of agents. It goes from the simplest form, which is retrieval. What it is pretty much grounds it to, let's say, a SharePoint site or a OneDrive documentation library, and then simply gets data from the documents within those libraries or OneDrive data set, right? So it's just getting all the information that's in there, but it isn't performing any tasks from that data. So it's just data retrieval agent. Task-based agent, you can either add to that data retrieval process, or you can have simply a task-based agent, meaning to do something. So an example would be, you have an agent which does 2 things. One is it helps users get information from, let's say, a IT help desk knowledge base. But if users run into a roadblock, you want those agents to actually go in and give an option to user to create a ticket. So creating a ticket becomes a task. So that becomes a task-based agent. Autonomous agents are pretty much what it says, independent or autonomous. They work based on triggers. We don't cover all of that, but think of it as there is a trigger or something, that event happens, and that agent kind of lives or gets invoked. So those are sort of autonomous agents. Now, all 3 agents can work together or can work independently. But as you go further right, it goes from most simplest form, which is data retrieval, to the advanced form, which is autonomous agents. In our case, it's the simplest form of agents, which is a retrieval agent. So that's essentially what we're going to create and talk about with, which is a retrieval agent.
So just thinking real quickly, like with the autonomous, an example might be if you have like a shared mailbox for a team or something like that.
Right.
And when it gets a message comes in, it goes ahead, it scans the message, and then it creates a summary, which it spits out to the individuals,
Absolutely.
something like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
Another example is, let's say if you have RFPs that you kind of respond to. So you
Oh.
can actually have a autonomous agent that's listening for an RFP email. So as soon as RFP arrives, you can send a message to your team saying, hey, there's an RFP available that you need to respond to. So, that's like a good example as well of a autonomous agent.
Cool.
Yeah. So moving on. So this is a way. So we have multiple ways where you can build agents from this, again, from left to right, from the simplest form to the most complex form. So what we call what we kind of say it is no code, low code to pro code. So low code, no code becomes the simplest form of creating agents, to pro code, which is more geared towards developers.
Now,
Yes.
I do not see my development tool here. Notepad. Okay.
Notepad is actually can be a development tool. So the
I
way
know.
I function, and we're gonna see it is we're gonna write our instructions in a notepad, and then we're gonna simply copy and paste in our agent builder. That's correct.
Well,
So
there we go.
I'm gonna
That's how
include
I learned
that.
to build HTML way back in the 90s. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we're not gonna leave out Notepad. It's been around for years and it's useful. Um, so Agent Builder, is there are two types of places where you can use Agent Builder. One is within M365 app or Teams app, or the other place is SharePoint library, right? Or SharePoint. So if you create agents from those UIs, then you kind of using Agent Builder scenario. And then you have a low code scenario, which is Copilot. It also can be a pro code scenario, but for our conversation, we're going to call it a low code scenario. So then the next is your Copilot Studio. So it becomes it's somewhere in between no code and pro code. And from complexity perspective as well, it's somewhere in between where you can be as complex as you want, but you can also be as simple as you want in terms of, simply providing a data source. So, it's kind of a bridge, for a lack of better term, sort of a bridge where, you can go both ways in, either you can go pro code or you can simply use, low code kind of scenario. And Visual Studio Code and Team School Toolkit, obviously, those are more geared towards developers. If you're trying to build very customized solution, you want to bring your own model, you want to bring your own orchestration, then you kind of use your Visual Studio Code's kind of applications to kind of build your very customized, specialized agents. For our conversation, we're going to use Copilot Studio, but you can do the same thing if you want using either Agent Builder in SharePoint or is Agent Builder either in Teams or M365 app. So same thing can be achieved using any of the agent builders wherever the agent, the three places Agent Builder is available. But we're going to use Copilot Studio because it kind of gives you additional ability. Let's say if you want to add some additional complexities later on, you can definitely do that. And we'll also touch a little bit on application lifecycle and how you can kind of start, where you should actually start building your agent so that, let's say in future, you want to kind of follow through that application lifecycle guidelines, then, that'll be a good place to start, or at least you'll have your bases covered. So we're going to do that. What are we trying to solve here? So we know that for EHR and EMR systems, there's a lot of learning, and the learning curve can be pretty huge, right? So if you are a new user, or even if if you're a user that's been around for a while, data or instructions on how to use the tool itself can be spread across, and trying to find that information can be time consuming. So it adds some frustration, and also it also takes you away from your primary role. So if your primary role is taking care of patients, then you probably end up spending 30 minutes or an hour just trying to find, a little bit of information or a small information that could have been done easily if you had access to the right tools or right way to do it. So, that's the challenge that we have, that we're trying to solve. So what how does it help? So with the assistance of this agent, the goal here is to reduce the time to find the information that you're looking for and to do it in a very natural way. So if you had to go in and walk up to a colleague and say, hey, can you help me with this information? And they probably know it. You can use exactly the same process, but you can, instead of asking a colleague, this is an agent which acts as your colleague or as a knowledge source to answer those questions for you, or to answer those questions to you. So that's what this will help achieve. Reduce the time to find the information, get you the right information in the most easiest way and the way you already know. So that's what we're going to do.
So this is really, I mean, what you're going to build here is it's sort of a virtual colleague, right? That agent.
That is correct.
Yeah. Cool.
That's what I call it, a friend who doesn't judge. I can ask it whatever question I want, and then it's always there to respond. So they're always there. All right. So let's go look at a demo. I'm going to stop presenting this screen and I'm going to present my agent screen. So let me do that here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And let me know if you see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first process is for creating agencies. You can actually click here, right here to create agent. But I talked about the application lifecycle. That if you want to follow that application lifecycle model, then what the first step you want to do is click on the three dots right here and go to solutions. So if you're somebody who wants to kind of follow through that process, the first step you want to do is start with the solution. Is you go here, and then as soon as this loads, then you create a solution. And then once this solution is created, you create the agent within this solution. So that's give you the ability to move this solution into different environments. So now if you're a Power Platform guru, you're already aware of all of those things. We're not going to cover this in this model.
But for guys like me, I mean, I'll tell you, like, that's great point out, because my natural inclination, it would be to go, and I've done this, go to click agent, but then I can't do those movements across environments.
That is correct. Yeah. So if you're somebody who's into, who knows Power Platform, you know that there are different types of environment. You have your dev environment, you have a production environment, and if you're somebody who also has a UAT environment, you kind of create a solution in, let's say you start with dev environment and then you move the solution into UAT and then you move into production. So, following this process will help you in longer run. So let's go, for our conversation, we're going to, speed up our process, and we're going to simply create an agent here. And then we click on create a new agent. So what I'd like to do is I'll use, again, Copilot itself to help us create that agent. So what is this agent about? So this agent is about designing an agent that'll help us in onboarding, providing guidance to users. So I'm going to tell Copilot that it's an agent designed to assist clinical users with onboarding, providing guidance, resources, and support throughout the process, right? With our electronic or our EMR application. So let's go do that.
I love doing this as an initial step, because when you do go back into configure, I struggle where you can put the directions for it, but this actually, based upon your parameters, fills out a base set of directions.
Exactly. And another way to do it is I actually used Copilot to create this prompt to create
The
this
prompt, I
statement.
love it.
Exactly. So Copilot is your friend here. If
Yep.
whenever you're creating agent, you can use a prompt saying, give me like a single sentence prompt for whatever your agent is about, and it's going to do that. And here's the beauty, that Michael just touched upon. So as soon as you use like a more meaningful statement, it created instructions automatically that you don't have to do later. Obviously,
Yep.
you can modify it, but the beauty of this is as soon as you gave it a meaningful prompt, it created instructions for you automatically, right?
Nice.
So, and once we have done that, it suggests us with a name. Yeah, sure. I like that name. EMR Onboarding Assistant. Sure. Let's use that name. All right. Okay, so it's asking us if you want to refine the instructions or not. We're gonna keep the instructions because to me they look all they look perfect because it's assisting clinical users for with onboarding on the application. It's providing us guidance and offering support. Avoid discussing. This is important, right? If you don't have this sentence in your instructions, I would strongly recommend that you have this because you want to make sure that your agent only responds to very specific set of instructions. And you don't want it to, deviate from the topic. So it only responds to, what you want it to be focused on. So no matter, like personally, I try to use it, and context matters, but especially in agent conversation, when we are focusing it onto a specific topic, this helps a lot. So we don't want users, responding to anything that's not relevant. And obviously, we want it to maintain a professional tone. So these instructions look perfect to me. So I'm not gonna add any more instructions. So okay, so I'm gonna say this looks good. Okay, so I don't have any guidelines because the guideline is already included here. So we're going to simply go ahead and create instruction. Additional guideline, we can say do not, we can also say is do not provide medical advice.
Oh yeah, that's important.
We're gonna add that as well because that's not needed.
Yep.
And it's not for medical advice. So all right. So after we've done that, instead of providing sources, we're going to modify the agent itself to add sources. But for now, we're going to just say create.
Okay.
So
now with create, it's building the agent, but it's not yet published, so people don't have to worry, right?
That is correct. It's simply creating it. Yeah.
I remember the first time I clicked create, I was worried it was published. I'm like, oh, but I want to edit.
So it created an agent. We have a structure now. So here are the instructions that we gave it. You can always modify these instructions. So what we're going to do is we want to first give it knowledge, right? So we're going to go in and click on knowledge, and then we're going to say add knowledge. So what is knowledge? Think of knowledge as source of information, right? This is what agent will actually look for, where it actually gets his information from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, and I've already uploaded. So these are the documents that I created using Copilot. So it's these are just demo documents that mimic an EMR guideline. EMR guidelines. So I'm going to say I'm going to copy this right here. And I'm going to go minimize that. I'm going to say SharePoint website, and I'm going to paste that URL. And I'm going to say add. Now, you got to remember that all the users that use this agent should have access to that SharePoint repository, right? Any user that does not have access to it, even if you publish agent, they can query the agent, but will not be able to get any information because they don't have access to documents. So agents and M365 Copilot, they honor your permission. So if you don't have access to it, there's no data to be retrieved. And I'm going to say add here.
And then the thing I love too, now that you've added that source, you don't have to worry about it going out to the whole graph. It's just that source. So it's really a scoped generative AI query and response. Yeah, I like that.
Yep, exactly. All right. So now that we have it, we're going to use generative AI knowledge to respond to it, right? Because that's what we want, use natural language to respond to. So we're going to enable that. What we will disable is this right here. So what this says is allow AI to use its own general knowledge. We don't want that. We want it to be focused on the knowledge that we have provided, the training documents, the instructions, because it's very unique to that EMR, EHR application. So we want to turn this off right here. So we're going to do that. All right. So now that's done. So another thing it did was it added some starter prompts for us. If you don't like these starter prompts, you can always change it. One of the things that I would recommend is as you deploy this agent and as you start using this agent, monitor the analytics so you know what questions are being asked most often, and that can be included as part of your starter prompts. Or if you already have information on what's the most asked question, then that can be included as part of your starter prompt. But for beginning, it actually added some starter prompts for us, right? Okay. So now that the agent has been added, we'd probably want to test it out to see whether it's working as intended, right? So let's go ask it a question here. So I'm going to ask it, how do I assign permission to users? So let's go ask that and see if it responds. Okay, there you go. So it is working. Yep. We know that it used, and it also provides us with, what source was used to provide this information. So it used the EMR system configuration guide, which has the instructions on how to assign permission to users, and it kind of gave us that information, right? So to me, it looks like it is working as intended. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and publish it now. So we'll go click here, publish. Oh, before we publish, so I want to talk about channels. So channels essentially which channel you want it to be published. So in our case, we wanted, because this is more of an internal, there'll be more of an internal agent. So we're going to use Teams and Copilot as a channel or a location where it will be published. So we're going to first add that channel where it will be published, and then we're going to click on publish right here.
But that's a great, call out, because let's say you've got your corporate intranet, and I know there's the web hub and some others, things where, and then it'll give you actually snippets of code to drop in and be able to leverage.
So once it's published, what we're going to do is we're going to make it available. Even when we choose the option to make it available throughout our organization, even though the option is kind of scary, it's really not how it really doesn't happen automatically. It actually goes through an approval process. So in terms of availability, we're going to say, now you can obviously, share it with your teammates and specific set of users. But the goal here is essentially for it to be available for our users to use it, across the organization. So we're going to say, share it across your organization. And here you can see that even though you want it to be shared, it will go through that admin approval process. Gotcha. So yes, I'll go ahead and submit to my admin for approval process. So once it goes in there, it's going to take, it's going to be a couple of minutes before it gets processed, and we'll see it in admin center. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at one of the agents that I've already created and pre-published it, and it's available in Teams to use, right?
Oh,
so cool. I'm going to maximize this screen. And okay, here we go. So EMR onboarding agent is something that I've already added,
Yep.
prior to this session. So, it's available for us to see.
Yep.
So it's under our apps, and then we'll go ahead and add it right here. So I will say, yes, please add it. Right. So now that it's added, we can either open it here. Right. So this right now I'm using Teams. Now the same thing is also available in M365 apps. But for now, we're going to use Teams, and this is called an immersive experience. Okay. So there are two ways you can talk to an agent. One is an immersive experience. One is an in-context experience. So if you click on the agent and you're actually within the agent, agent context, for lack of better term again, it's called immersive experience because we are talking to the agent directly. So what's an in-context experience? So in-context experience is more like I come to Copilot and I do an @agent. So if I do @EMR agent, oops, let's see if we see added. Probably it's taking a bit here, but the other way to invoke agent is if you do like an @EMR agent, you will see that agent, right? So I have a previous agent, but if you do like an @sign, then that becomes an in-context experience.
Gotcha.
Right. So let's go shift our focus back to our agent that was published, and we're going to ask it the same question again, right? And see, if it responds. Oops, let me type it in. See, how do I assign permission to users? It's thinking. There
you go.
Right. So it already gave you instruction, right? Let's ask is one more question, see if it works. How do I schedule appointment? So let's say, how do I schedule patient spellings? Oh, I don't know. These days with spell checker, my typing skills are getting bad. My spelling skills are.
You're not alone.
Okay. So how do I schedule patient appointment? There you go. So like I was saying, it's a friend that doesn't judge. I can ask it any question. I can ask a basic question. It's going to respond with with the right information on how to do certain things. So that's how it functions. So let's go switch back over to admin center and see if that agent is available for approval. Okay. So let's go back. So where it comes is right here under integrated apps. So let me go back and show you how to kind of navigate admin center. If you're not familiar, you pretty much come here and home, and then under settings, you have integrated apps.
Yep.
And then within integrated apps, you have requested apps section, right? So I think because I was already here, it kind of defaulted here. But if you're not, then you want to come to integrated app sessions. And right here, you can see this is the agent that we've created. And we want to, and then this is pending publishing, right? So all you need to do is you click here. Now, there are, either you can approve it for all users or you can approve it to a specific set of users.
And then for that specific group, only they'll see it available, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. So now I'm going to go confirm it. And then once it's published, it takes a bit and then it will be available. But we've already seen how it looks in Teams and M365 Copilot app. Let's see if, yeah, so let's give it a minute. All right, so it's published. So what you'll see is it kind of disappears from here. Oh, one more thing. Now that we are on this particular section, if you update an agent and you publish it, it doesn't get approved automatically, right? This is what you would see, update pending. So an updated agent will again require an admin approval. So
gotcha.
Even if you make some changes, you'll have to republish it. and then an admin needs to approve it again. So yes, so updating an agent will require a reapproval. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to available apps and let's see if it's available here. So I'm going to do EMR. See. It's not available yet. It takes a bit to kind of show up, but as soon as it's available, it shows up here and then you can click on approval. So to give you an example.
Once you've approved it, then you're able to do like you did. Just go ahead and add it, make it available. People can add it.
That is correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
So this IT Help Desk agent is something that I created before. So you can see here that after I approved it, I can actually edit here. And then I can use assignment to whether assign it to a specific group of users or I assign it to everybody in an organization. So this is where you actually scope it to a specific user group or the whole org. So, once you start seeing your agent here, you can click on it and then you can scope it to whatever you like. Yeah, so that was the demo for today. This is how you go through the process of creating an agent. Now, this was for our EMR or EHR onboarding documentation. Now, you can use the same process for any documentation that you have.
Yeah.
Right. So this can be scaled to whatever you want it to be.
Well, that's the beauty of it. And I love that, if you think about, the orgs that I work with, their EMR, EHR documentation, it's typically a lot of stuff. And search doesn't work because then you get a document, then you got to go into the document, you got to try to find the information in it. Like you said earlier, it takes forever to get to the info. Instead, your pal, your virtual colleague here goes out, finds it, and then gets it back to you, cuts out all that middle stuff, and just makes it. And then because it's in Teams, I can do it from my phone.
Exactly. And to your point, Michael, even though we just added one source, you can always go back and add more SharePoint sites, right? So it's not limited to the one that we've added. Like you were saying, information can be spread across different SharePoint sites or different document libraries. So you can always come back in and add more sources.
This is great.
As long as, again, I want to stress that as long as user has permission to those documentation, they will be able to retrieve information. So that's important piece. Make sure that your users have information. If you're adding multiple sites, make sure users have access to all that data. If not, then, they'll be only able to see what they have access to. So that's
absolutely critical. All right. So
that was the session.
Thank you very much. This is great. I mean, I think our customers could take this and start today setting up agents for their folks. And to use this, then they would need to have an M365 license.
That's
for
correct.
Copilot, or they would be, if they assigned it to people without license, those people, it would be that kind of pay-as-you-go model.
That's correct.
So either way, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. This is Mike and
Saurabh
saying, have a great day.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Creating agents.
Yes.
See ya.